Yesterday, I attended virtually a meeting of our African American History Commission. That commission is looking at how we can better teach our full history. The history that we teach now is insufficient and inadequate, especially when it comes to Black and Indigenous history. We must remember that Black history is American history. And that is why today I'm announcing that it's time we commemorate another part of that history. You see, every year as a nation we mark the 4th of July, Independence Day, celebrating our independence from English colonial rule. We celebrate this as a holiday, but that freedom we celebrate did not include everyone. And we have not elevated a different celebration of freedom, Juneteenth, the day in 1865 that news of the Emancipation Proclamation had finally come to every state. In June of that year, the news arrived in Texas after the war ended and 2 years after the proclamation was signed. And finally, enslaved Black people there heard the news that they were free. Throughout American history, we've struggled to live up to our own ideals of freedom and justice for all. Since 1619, when representative democracy and enslaved African people arrived in Virginia within a month of each other, we have said one thing, but we've done another. Juneteenth is the oldest celebration of the end of slavery in the United States. Virginia has acknowledged this important milestone with an annual written proclamation. That's nice, but we need to do much more. It's time we elevate this, not just a celebration by and for some Virginians, but one acknowledged and celebrated by all of us, because that's how important this event is. It finally shut the door on the enslavement of African American people. And while it did not end racism, Black oppression, or violence, it is an important symbol. By commemorating it, we push people to think about the significance of Juneteenth. Why does that day matter? It mattered then because it marked the end of slavery in the United States, but it matters now because it says to Black communities, this is not just your history, this is everyone's shared history, and we recognize it together. So today, I'm announcing that I will propose legislation to make Juneteenth a paid state holiday. While we and 44 other states ceremonially commemorate Juneteenth, this action will formalize that observance. I believe Virginia will become only the second state to observe Juneteenth as a paid holiday for state employees. I hope our local governments will observe this holiday for their workers as well. The commemoration will start this Friday with a paid day off for executive branch state employees. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the community leaders who are here with us today. They and others have been working for years to celebrate Juneteenth and to elevate it at the state level. This would not be happening without all of their hard work. We are changing what we honor in Virginia. Just this year, we finally passed legislation to stop celebrating Confederate generals with a state holiday. We replaced it with Election Day to emphasize the importance of voting and to make it easier for all Virginians. These conversations must keep going. Some might say changing a state holiday is merely a symbolic action, but symbols do matter. If they didn't, people wouldn't be fighting so hard to keep Confederate flags and statues up. Symbols show what we value. This symbol, This holiday is one step toward reconciliation. It is a step toward the Virginia we want to be as we go forward. It is a step toward the Virginia we want to leave for our children and grandchildren. It's one step forward in the work we have been doing to create real change. Last week, I announced that I'm extending and expanding our Commission on Racial Inequity in Virginia law. I'm asking that commission to review our current laws and regulations around education, public safety, criminal justice, health, housing, and voting. And we continue work to reduce disparities in educational attainment and school suspension rates, in maternal and neonatal mortality rates, in our courts and prisons, and in our business practices. We can create change through policy, but we also need to ensure that people understand why policies need to change and why the status quo is not equal for everyone. We do that through education and by changing hearts, and we can do that by shining a light on our history.